Welcome back everybody to another video. In this video I am going to give you guys my experience on Dolby Atmos and Auro 3D and my preference when I'm watching a movie and my preference when I'm playing video games. But before I begin, let's just educate ourselves real quick here. Your Dolby Digital Plus, Dolby Digital EX, your Dolby Digital Surround Sounds, and your DTS, your digital theater systems or digital theater surround sound, and your DTS HD. All those are basically considered channel based. Your Dolby Atmos, your DTS X, those two are considered object based. And if you didn't know the difference between Dolby Atmos and Dolby Digital, your Dolby Atmos, you have high channels, and same thing with DTS and DTSX. Your DTSX has high channels and your DTS does not. So that's the main difference with those. Now, when it comes to Auro 3D, from my understanding, now if you guys know more or you want to elaborate or if you want to educate us, please comment below. But from my understanding of Auro 3D is that it's basically still considered a channel-based decode format, even though you do have the three-dimensional spatial sound because you have your X, Y, and Z, but it's not considered object-based. So that is my understanding of Auro 3D, but it'll still just come down to your preference. And by the way, the background here is just for visual aid. Now, recently I was watching on Disney Plus Thor: Love and Thunder with my Marantz AV7706. I played that in Dolby Atmos track, sounded good, of course. And then I switched it over to Auro 3D. And in order for me to switch that to Auro 3D, actually, in order for me to switch it on to Auro 3D, when I was streaming, I had to put that in DTS. So you can pretty much put it in, if you want to run Auro 3D or upmix it in automatic into Auro 3D, you pretty much can do that with DTS decodes tracks or PCMs. Now, that being said, when you're watching a movie on disc that is like on a 4K Blu-ray player that it has Dolby Atmos tracks, you can add Auro 3D with Dolby Atmos tracks. Now, does it just when you switch it from Dolby Atmos to Auro 3D, is it still object based? I don't know, but I do know that when you watch a 4K Blu-ray disc that it has Dolby Atmos tracks, it gives you the option to convert it to Auro 3D. If you guys know anything about that or want to elaborate, go ahead and comment below, please. But when it comes to playing video games that has Dolby Atmos, you're not going to be able to change Dolby Atmos. You're not going to. It's not going to give you the option to put that in Auro 3D. The only way to put that in Auro 3D will be in channel-based formats, which such as DTS, DTSS, or PCM. Now, when I was watching back to Thor: Love and Thunder, I was watching Dolby Atmos, sound great, and then I switched it to Auro 3D. Not that it's better, but in Auro 3D, immediately your that movie was a lot louder by default. The level was a lot louder, and everything was more clear, and it sounded really good when I'm running with that capable processor that have both Dolby Atmos and Auro 3D. So But in order for me to run that in Auro 3D, I believe that I had to put in DTS. And even though it was on DTS and upmixed to Auro 3D, it did utilize all my channels or all my speakers plus all the 4 height channels that I've used. I do have basically for my setup. By the way, I'm running on the Marantz AV7706. I'm running the 5 bed layer speakers, which is your ear level, and I'm running 4 height channels, which is your Atmos, your height fronts and height rears. By the way, but when it came down to watching movies, I preferably prefer running out or 3D. Now, when it comes down to video games that has Dolby Atmos, such as all the Xbox Series consoles, I preferably rather have it in Dolby Atmos. Not that Auro 3D was not better, or no, running in Auro 3D was great, and I'm sure the video games are, even though Dolby Atmos is technically object based, I'm pretty sure it's not getting. I don't think it's getting utilized an object based, because I cannot tell when I'm playing video games. When I'm watching movies, the object based Dolby Atmos you can tell, but when it comes to games, I don't think it matters if you running an Dolby Atmos or Auro 3D. It's gonna both sound great. It's gonna utilize all your 3-dimensional sound feel. But the reason why I will prefer running Dolby Atmos when it comes to video games is just for the fact that Dolby Atmos technology, you can have so many more channels, and supposedly on paper it's object based, right? And with Auro 3D, you pretty much got to put it in DTS or PCM, and then up convert it to the Auro 3D, which will utilize all your bed layer and of course your height speakers. But just on paper, I will just choose Dolby Atmos when it comes to video gaming. So that's pretty much my experience with Dolby Atmos and Auro 3D. And Auro 3D might be irrelevant to you guys who don't have Auro 3D and all the debacle where Auro 3D went bankrupt, yada yada yada. But either way, Auro 3D, it is a good feature to have if you have that option. It is not necessary to have, but it's just an added feature for your AV or AVR, or your AVP or AVR, and the more option the better. So I treat Auro 3D like it's a THX feature, like THX Select, if you know what that is. But that's neither here or there. That will pretty much sum it up for this video. If you guys have any insights or comments, constructive comments, go ahead, feel free to leave that below. Educate us, and we can all learn from this home theater community. But thanks guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hooded Dragons out.